Hi there. Storm Bert arrives this weekend, bringing significant impacts from rain, wind and significant snow, especially for northern England and Scotland. There'll also be significant contrasts in our weather, both from place to place and from day to day through the weekend, as we start off with the cold air and then much milder but also much wetter and windier weather arrives from the Atlantic as Storm Bert approaches at the start of the weekend. A deepening area of low pressure, bringing a marked change in the weather. And as the two air masses collide, the risk of substantial snow in between. This is 1 a.m. on Saturday, and it's at this point that it's clear and frosty across most of the UK, with temperatures well below freezing across parts of Scotland, northern and eastern England, particularly where we've got lying snow. But Storm Bert's bringing the first spell of very heavy rain in this stage, and as that bumps into the cold air across the hills of Northern Ireland and Wales, we're likely to see a transient spell of snow. But quite quickly the mild air arrives, so by dawn mostly the hill snow's turning back to rain, unlikely to cause significant impacts in terms of snowfall. The more impactful snow is expected as we go through the morning across northern England and Scotland. The cold air remains in place for longer here, and that's why we're expecting in these areas 2 to 4 hours of heavy snow, building up thick and fast on the ground, even at lower levels. Combined with strong winds, there's the risk of drifting snow, blizzards over hills, and also interruptions to power supplies. Meanwhile, for Northern Ireland, for parts of Wales and the southwest, the rain continues, and it will be heavy rain accompanied by gales, and so miserable conditions, and could be impactful in terms of the rain building up and the strong winds. Northern Scotland remains clear of the hazardous weather until the early afternoon, and then the rain and hill snow moves north, and it's going to quite quickly turn back to rain at most levels across northern England, central and southern Scotland later in the afternoon, followed by a rapid thaw. So a spell of heavy and fast accumulating snow followed by rain and a rapid thaw later on Saturday. All the ingredients there for some very tricky conditions. Certainly if you've got travel plans, I would stay up to date with the latest forecasts and warnings and traffic information, and if you can delay those travel plans, it would be strongly advised. Here's a summary of the wintry type of warnings. We've got rain and snow warnings for northern parts of the UK as well as for Northern Ireland, and an amber warning for snow there for central Scotland. 2 to 4 hours of heavy snow, 5 centimetres at lower levels, perhaps as much as 10 centimetres for the Vale of York, up to 40 centimetres over hills. So really substantial snow building up through the course of Saturday. That accompanied by strong winds, 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, more than 60 in exposed spots, particularly around coasts and the northwest of the UK, as well as Saturday night along the south coast. And meantime, there are rain warnings in force, and the rain warnings indicate 20 to 40 millimetres widely of rain building up through Saturday and into Sunday, plus snow melt across northern England and Scotland. But it's Wales and the southwest where we're likely to see the largest rain totals, 50 to 90 millimetres in places, as much as 150 millimetres over exposed parts of Dartmoor and South Wales. So yeah, lots to think about this weekend. The worst weather is on Saturday before the milder but more changeable conditions take over across the whole of the UK by Sunday. Here's an indication of the temperature contrasts on Saturday afternoon. 14 or 15 Celsius towards the southwest, still in the low single figures or even lower than that towards the northeast. But those temperatures will be climbing, so that Saturday night, even where we've seen snow falling on Saturday, could be remarkably mild. For example, northeast England, we could see temperatures by the start of Sunday of 15 Celsius as Storm Bert remains to the northwest of the UK and brings further wet and windy weather across the whole of England and Wales. Spells of rain, strong gusty winds continuing throughout Sunday. Brighter skies for Scotland and Northern Ireland, and blustery showers. Perhaps some hill snow later with the showers as the air turns a little colder, but we're not going back to the very cold weather that we've seen this week. For much of the UK, Sunday is looking remarkably mild after that wintry start, up to 16 Celsius in the south. And we keep that mild air at first next week before it turns colder from the north, but like I say, not as cold as it's been this week. Stay up to date with all the latest forecasts and warnings. You can keep up to date with those by the Met Office YouTube channel and our other social media channels. Bye-bye.